What's going on, YouTube? We are another episode of Just Drive Cars and Life. I'm your host, Naveed, and we got Jose in the house.
Hey, everyone.
What's going on, man?
Excited. We talked about this,
Finally, right?
5 months ago?
5 months ago, yeah. Well, last time we did it was at BMW Invasion. That was the first time we ever talked.
That's more than 5 months ago.
Yeah, that was a long time ago. That was a really good experience.
It was. I think that the BMW Invasion could have went even better if Texas 2K, the Texas 2K, yeah, exactly, it interfered. But the guys are very professional. Their media team is incredible. So
I think, they did the best they could during that time. It wasn't something like they could perfect anyways.
No.
Because exactly like you said, they hosted it during a time where Texas 2K was going on, and then not only that, it was at Lone Star Park. If it was at an indoor facility, like for instance, Dallas Market Hall or Dallas Convention Center or the Arlington Convention Center, I think it would have bought a better crowd for them. But they already knew that. It was their first time doing this. For their very first time to pull something off like this, I think they did pretty well.
Yeah.
I think their rally was really interesting as well. I think the cars that we saw, there was a lot of unique BMWs out there, from the oldest one to the newest one to the fastest one to the most cosmetic one. So it's really interesting when you get to see a variation of cars. So,
yeah, you had people. There was a guy that brought an M1 from Mexico. There was a guy that drove from Austin up here. There was a 1,000+ horsepower F82 M4.
Right.
Your car was there.
My car was there.
We had a lot of cool cars. Really.
Both of my cars were there.
Both. Oh, you had the M3 there too?
The E36 M3, yeah. Gosh, I miss that car. But I was so small in it. It was just it's interesting when you see a very heavy guy get into a very small car. It's just the combo doesn't work out. But when you get out of the car and you read the badge and it says M3, you're like, okay, at least I got it.
Hey, you see people getting off of E30s, man. You seen the Jersey boys?
Yeah.
Come on. So, yeah. I know they want to be in the 635 CSIs, but most of them are in the E30s. So,
basically, no. It's the BMW world is a very interesting world. But you come from a JDM world. I just see you nothing but in JDMs.
So my heart is in the JDM. Okay. I love JDM cars. That's my number one thing. I like Euros, and I had some E46s, and that was a big thing for me at that time.
Right.
But my heart and soul is in the JDM cars. I like Nissan, Honda, Toyota. That's
and you just recently purchased your President.
Yeah.
And then your Honda Civic, obviously, that you have.
Yeah.
But your dream cars have the Supra.
That's right.
Why?
That's right. The Mark IV Supra is just, I grew up reading on it. Literally, I was 6 years old staring at it through the window. It was like an Imperial Jade green.
Like we saw yesterday.
Exactly.
Okay.
That was a beautiful car. But it's just, I used to read so much about it, and I used to read about the ABS system, for example.
Okay.
It wasn't beaten until 2006 by a Porsche Carrera GT. So if you think about that, a 90s sports car with that type of brake power.
Right.
The inline six, I love the sound. I love the sequential turbo. I read so much about this car that I feel like I know how it was built, or so I feel like,
Would you ever build one from the ground up?
Honestly, no.
Okay.
Honestly, I would like to get, because of the price right now, my best choice would be a right-hand drive SZ, non-turbo, and then slowly build it from there. But it needs to be a nice example from the beginning. I'm not the guy that's going to be doing body work. I'm just not, so.
I see. Even with the motor, you don't want to build it, or do you want to do something with the motor, or do you just want to keep it as stock as possible?
I would definitely do a turbo build, but I wouldn't personally do the build myself.
I see. Okay. That's fair.
Yeah. I don't see the time. I don't have the time for it. And if I'm going to spend that kind of money, I want somebody to do it right. I don't want to make the mistakes I've made before.
That's fair. No, that's fair. That's fair. I can see that.
Yeah.
And where would you buy it from? Would you buy it from here, or would you go to Japan and do the whole entire,
You know, honestly, if I had a connection there, I would probably do it that way. But I think that at that kind of level of money, I would rather buy it through a well-known importer that would have a grade 4, grade 5 car, something really low mileage, minimal rust. Because I mean, these cars sit in the ship for some time too. So people don't realize that.
Yeah. Well, I mean. And that's the thing too. Even with folks purchasing brand new cars from overseas and bringing it over, like I can see the reason why they pay so much too, just in the shipping factor, because they don't want to get any damage on their car. They don't want to get any rust. So like, I really don't know how shipping it by water, how much their expenses are. Because I don't know, would they put them in a cooled environment or would they cover everything up? Like, how does it work?
So from what I know is that they come in a container.
Right.
And most people that import cars, they don't just import cars. They usually import parts, car seats. So how they put them in there, I don't know. But
which is crazy, though.
Yeah. But I can tell you that, working for liqui-moly, right now we make all the products in Germany, ship them from Germany, and shipping prices have skyrocketed.
Right,
so,
especially during COVID, right?
Yeah. I mean, now it's up 40%. So if you're trying to buy something or ship something from overseas, hold on.
Basically, yeah. So talk about liqui-moly.
Liqui-moly. So I made a post today.
Okay.
I made a post today thanking everyone, you, a lot of people that. You remember our conversations. I came here and I told this man, I said, listen, I just moved here from Houston. In Houston, I know everybody and their mother. I can go inside a shop, have a cup of coffee with the mother, and sit down and talk about our childhood. But here, it's a bigger market. I didn't know anybody. And Park Up Front, Naveed, several other people. I love to mention everybody, and please forgive me if I don't mention you, but I'm very grateful. Literally took me in. I mean, the car culture here is different. Everybody, I feel everybody I came across that is really in the scene, it's really about it. They really care about, they're passionate about the cars. They're passionate about getting together. Heck, I had a flat tire on I don't know if you guys remember, I had a Toyota pickup.
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah, what happened with that one? Sorry, I'm going to check on this one.
Yeah, no worries. So I sold that truck.
You did?
Yeah.
Okay.
Had a flat tire. Caps Auto Works. Helped me out. It's a small shop out in Fort Worth.
Okay.
D&D Automotive helped me out when the freeze came out. I mean,
dude, that snowstorm, like I hadn't been in a snowstorm like that like in a long time. I think the last time was like back in like in 2012, 2013, and it was, or 2015. Yeah. Was it 2015? It was just bad.
Yeah.
And, people don't know how to drive in Texas. I hate to say it. I'm from Texas, and I'm willing to admit to that. And we saw a snow yesterday, so.
Yeah. Now. But I will say that was the most snow I've ever seen in my life, personally, to be honest with you.
Which is crazy.
I was
absolutely crazy.
We were all stuck, obviously. My girlfriend had came down for the weekend, and she had to stay the whole week with me because there's no way to get out there. It was
really
full of snow. Like,
talk about emotional support.
Yeah. Thankfully, thank God, we never lost power, never lost water. I mean, all of our utilities was there.
I was on the same boat too.
I saw some people that didn't have anything. Like, they were like freaking out. No lights, nothing.
Dude, it's funny how you say that because where I was living, because I was living right down the street before I moved down here, like a block away.
Yeah.
And our pipes burst a month before. So when the snowstorm came,
they were strong.
No pipes. Yeah, exactly. And we had power. We had everything. So my mom hardly had any power. My dad hardly had any power. And I was like, well, I got open doors. Like, I would even message people like, hey, if you got nothing going on, come over here, spend the night. I got everything you need.
Yeah.
But what was even crazier, did you guys ever try to go shopping throughout that time? Okay, so I went to Target.
We did too.
It's like a fucking apocalypse, Like, the chicken that I wanted to buy was not there. The chicken I had to buy was organic chicken. It was organic vegetable chicken.
Oh, God.
Like, imagine, like, it was so dry. Like I was like, okay, I got to make this thing tasty. So like I would like, mix up like mustard and mayo or something like that just to get like some type of a flavor instead of like chewing on something that's so dry and uncomfortable. So it was like, oh my God, like I can't do that. So that was a process though. But then everybody else going out and, four-wheeling, two-wheeling, just trying to do donuts in the parking lot or whatever. Yeah. And then it was
funny to see some family members thinking that I was taking these photos as I'm doing snow angels with my daughter and stuff. They literally thought I was on vacation in Colorado. I mean, it looked so scenic, like the background, and people thought I was like out somewhere. I'm like, no, I'm literally on the parking lot floor right now.
There's nothing wrong with that in my personal opinion. I think that's fine. But at the end of the day, though, it's like you said, the Dallas car scene by itself is just unique. It's got its own character. It's got its own chemistry. And you just want to be part of it, basically.
Yeah.
Houston, though, on the other hand, I feel like Houston drivers are just about straightaways. I don't think they're really about, how fast can your car turn like at 130 or 140 miles an hour, or can it turn like at 150 or 160 miles an hour, like, for instance, like cars like mine. So I'll never forget this. We went to Texas 2K. I think if you heard the story about it, I mentioned in one of my other video podcasts, we had we were just done with the first round of races at Texas 2K, and then we go towards north of Houston. And mind you, we're already tired. Like we had already waking up super early in the morning, get a drive down to Houston during Texas 2K, where every single state trooper in the state of Texas is on 45. So literally, I had no reason to take my radar detector because it was literally about to explode from all the freaking KA, K-bands and everything, and waves and so on and so forth. So, we didn't get to enjoy the drive basically because we were always concerned about
paranoid, looking out.
Exactly. Yeah. So, and then Houston drivers, I thought Dallas drivers were bad. Houston drivers are even worse. Like, imagine like taking the exit and then some guy from the far left lane of the highway just gets in front of you, like zero fucks given. Like literally, like who the hell are you? I don't care who you are. I don't give a shit about insurance. Like fuck you. I'll go to jail. Like fuck you. Just like give me.
I'm from Houston, and I can say that I will admit we are probably some of the most intense drivers.
And the intensity and the passionate drivers out there, you can easily tell. You can easily tell.
But we're still nowhere near the New York. And nowhere near Florida.
New York, Jersey, Florida, even Oklahoma. I mean, you know how Oklahoma outlaws are,
Well, yeah. But I'll tell you what. Oklahoma, and I've been driving there a lot lately. Mm-hmm. They're not as bad as Houston, but really? The roads are the worst roads.
Really?
Yes.
Okay.
Going to Tulsa, Oklahoma, there's a highway that I swear to God, if you are not in a pickup truck, you're messing up your bumper. You're having bent wheels. Like it's really bad. So
shit.
I think the locals were telling me that when they had that hard snowstorm there, they put a lot of salt and it really messed up the whole concrete.
Well, I mean, even out here, because usually we'll take the back roads, especially when I host my cruises and everything. Mm-hmm. Like, yeah, I'll take the folks on the back roads, towards McKinney or Prosper or Sanger, Pilot Point, Salina, and you're like, okay, no, this road looks good. One bad snow event, and you go there, you're like, what happened here?
Yeah.
Like literally, was it like Twister? Like the tornadoes just like show up out of nowhere, and to uphold those, to keep them, in pristine condition, it's not easy, especially if you're out in the country.
Yeah.
So there's this one twisty road that I usually take towards Sherman. And lately I've been hearing that they just got brand new pavement on it. Like it should be good to go. So I kind of want to head out there again and see what all's going on. But Houston, there's no such thing as a back road in Houston. It's just get on the highway and just go.
It's Beltway, it's West Park Toll Road, and it's
Highway 10.
That's what it is. And it's there's not enough big racing, to be honest with you. Right. It's more 40, 60 rows,
Basically. And so it's like I was saying earlier, we go to this one car meet and this guy just comes out of nowhere. Now, mind you, he's looking at my BMW, my buddy's BMW, and then the other BMW. So we had an M3, M4, and an M5. And we're chilling in the parking lot, and just out of nowhere, this guy just shows up. And I think it was a kid. maybe like in his early 20s or something like that, maybe 20, 21, you know, he's got a Corvette under his hand, and, you know, now I'm the fastest American muscle guy. And he walks up to me. Yeah, he walks up to me. He was like, yeah, what is that underneath the hood? I was like, it's a V10. And, you know, it's not like he's intimidated by it, but he's like, oh man, yeah, I want to race this thing. I'm like, I didn't come here to race, buddy. Like, I'm here to chill. I've been driving since 8 o'clock in the morning, and it's 11 o'clock at night. Like, no, like, I'm saving my gas money. Thanks a lot. And he's like, asking me, he's like, so what are you pushing? And I've already said it in public. Right now, currently, I'm at 540 horsepower, 470 to the wheels, and about 340, 350 torque. With my recent tune, I think my torque is a little bit higher, like I said. But, you know, that's average though. That's not something like that's competitive. It's just an average number that you hear throughout the day. So unless, you know, you're in a sports car or just like a general, you know, lightweight car, you know, that is pushing over 350, 4. But, you know, for what it is though, I mean, you've seen it. You see how I drive it. You know, it doesn't feel
sound.
like
I
that.
mean, honestly, guys, I mean, forget the horsepower. It's just that straight pipe. I mean, it's just
it has its own character for sure. And I was so mad. I was so mad at BMW Invasion when I didn't win the exhaust competition.
Oh yeah,
I was so mad. Like I was mad.
I think like, who won it? Was it the E39, the white one?
The white E39.
It was loud. It was obnoxiously loud. Like it was really loud.
But he was straight pipe. I had performance headers, and I was like. And I was like, son of a bitch, like this guy won it. I was like, if I had like a tune and I was like shooting flames, or where I had like the burble tune like I have now, I was like, I think a bit of a different story for sure.
Speaking of burble tunes, man, I was driving on my way to Cars and Coffee, South Lake, and someone did a downshift, and it scared the living crap out of me.
Really?
Whoever you are, and you know that I was like, I literally yelled, I was just scared the crap out of me. So if you got that video, man, let's post it. America's funniest top videos. Yeah,
that'd be hilarious.
Yeah.
That'd be hilarious. I mean, I'd probably pay to see that one. Anyways, so you're a JDM guy, and you are. What exactly do you do for Liqui-moly, though?
So regional sales manager. Yeah. I handle vast majority of Texas, the whole state of New Mexico, and the whole state of Oklahoma.
Okay.
So my job is to visit all the accounts in those towns, create new opportunities with other shops that may know us, may not use us, may not even know about us. So make the introduction, educate them on the product.
Okay.
What we take a lot of pride in is the approvals that we are able to obtain from these manufacturers. Nothing feels better than to walk into a European shop, and let them know, hey, did you know about the latest approval? Wait, what?
Right.
We have it. You know, it's common. And so it just, one thing about our products is they do exactly what they say on the bottle. And the reason for it is because of the German standards.
I see.
So in Germany, if your product does not do what it says, it's off the market. You know?
I mean, just Germans by itself, they have like this really unique aspect of engineering by itself.
And the pride behind it too.
Well, the pride behind it, and they make sure that they want to be the best out of it, and the longevity aspect of it is just, it's unique by itself. But, you know, but like for instance, for me, like I travel around. You know, and I appreciate it. And I go to a couple of years ago, I went back to Italy. I went to Rome, and I look at the architecture behind Rome by itself, and how their engineers are. And they were just like basically talking about how the Colosseum was built, the whole entire kingdom of Rome, of how it was built. And they were like basically saying like the arcs, literally the arcs. They said that back then they were like teaching the engineers that these arcs need to last not like 20, 30, or 40 years like how they do them nowadays. Yeah. They're like, no, we want it to sit like for 10, 20, 30,000 years. Like we want this to be here forever. And I'm just like, well, I mean, you got to do what you got to do. And when you pay attention to their detail, it's like, holy shit. But like, for example, we're talking about Germany. We're just like, okay, well, Italians are good at making Lambos and Ferraris, right? Germany is known for BMWs, Porsches, Mercedes, Volkswagen, Audis. You know, they have a huge variation, right? And then you go to the UK, they've got, Land Rover, Range Rover, they've got Jaguar.
Mini Cooper.
Yeah, Mini Cooper. Yeah. And it's like, who do you believe in at that point? Like, who do you believe in reliability? Who do you believe in longevity? Who do you believe in performance? And everybody has their own personal opinion, Even right now in the American muscle culture, like people are going to say, no, it's Shelby GT350 can keep up or can perform just as well as, for example, a Nissan GTR or a Porsche 911. But at the end of the day, it's like when you pay for performance and you pay for handling, you're going to get your money's worth out of it. It's really hard to get that with the cheap aspect that Americans have on American muscle, to where cheap, cosmetics, but heavy performance. Versus you go to Europe, they're like, no, we kind of care about majority of the stuff, but then JDM is like, I'm good at building motors.
Reliability.
Mitsubishi. I mean, think about their Evo, right? Okay, now we're gonna get into a debate. This is gonna be interesting. All right, so let's get this.
So
tell me your opinion about the Evo line.
I think an Evo is a great platform.
Okay.
I think what people don't realize is that they require a lot of maintenance.
Right.
More than your Honda, Toyota motor. So when people think about a Japanese car, they think, oh, my Evo's a low maintenance car just like the other Japanese cars, and it's not.
Right, true. But for a 4-cylinder engine.
The performance aspect of a perfectly running engine, the 4G motor, oh my God.
I mean, 500 horsepower per cylinder. Are you kidding me? Like that says a lot. Does that make sense?
There's a guy in Oklahoma, AP Racing, Aniel Pagan, has built probably one of the highest horsepower Evo 8s in the world.
Gotcha.
Or Evo 9, I think it was, Evo 8. Okay. But, you want to know, I want to share this funny story. So I went down there. I met with his brother, Alex Pagan of Global Performance.
Okay.
Honda Acura Guru.
Okay. While you're talking about that?
Well, because one builds Evos and one builds all Honda and Acura. So 4-cylinder cars that make over 1,000 horsepower.
Okay.
Reliably, right?
Right.
So I go down there, I meet with Alex Pagan for the very first time. He tells me all about his brother. We go to his brother, and it was kind of like an episode of Punk. His brother comes out, oh, you're with the liqui-moly guy, man. Yeah, I know you guys for years. This is my secret for my high horsepower cars. This is why my cars don't break down like most Evos do. And his brother looks at him like, wait a second.
What the fuck are you talking about? That doesn't sound right.
You've been using liqui-moly? You never told me this? And they live like very close to each other. They do separate cars,
separate work. Yeah,
that was a secret that was a 12-year-old secret.
Oh my God!
And I thought Alex was bringing me into a punk series. Like, my brother already, and he thought I was punking him.
That's funny, dude.
Yeah, but it was really funny. But I think in the Japanese range, Toyota is number one.
Okay.
I mean, their gasoline and their diesel engines. It's just out of this world. JDM stuff. Now, the U.S. is very limited to the same engines, kind of like Honda is.
Right.
Mazda is now more Ford than Mazda.
Gotcha.
Rotaries are pretty much out. But, yeah. But
have you been to a SEMA show?
SEMA. So I've been dreaming of going to SEMA forever. Right. You see those magazines, Motor Trend. That's the top show.
Right.
Stay tuned. I may be at SEMA this year.
Yeah, I'm not sure if they've changed their policy yet because with this whole COVID thing going on as usual. But yeah, I was trying to see if I can get myself this year too. So I don't know if it happens, it'd be a good experience for sure. But what about like other car shows? You wouldn't want to go to the Detroit Auto Show. You wouldn't want to go to the Tokyo Auto Show.
Tokyo Auto Salon. That's on my bucket list. And I don't know what it's called, but I think it's Concours d'Elegance in Monterey, California.
Basically, yeah.
That's another one. I think those are my top three.
Yeah, Monterey, the Pebble Beach. Yeah, that would be really interesting. I had an opportunity to meet with somebody over there to do a video podcast with that resides in the UK. So I'm still in the works with him. Hopefully I can get to do a video podcast with him. But one of my friends works out here. and goes to that show every single year because it's part of his job.
Okay.
And I think the scenery is just badass.
You're talking in California?
Yeah, Monterey, Pebble Beach, show and so on and so forth. The entry fee is like $500. I'm like, okay, I can see why people pay $500 because you see from the oldest car to the newest car.
Yeah.
And these are collectibles. These are items
you won't see out on the road.
No, you will never see them out on the road. And you just get some type of gratification based off of that because you're like, dude, I grew up with this car. Like, I know so much about this car. And when you go to different countries, like you're from Puerto Rico, if I'm not mistaken, or your family's from Puerto Rico, or what's the whole story? Why can't nobody get it right?
Everybody always thinks that I'm from Puerto Rico. That's funny. No,
that's why I want to clear it up right here.
I have a lot of friends from Puerto Rico, but I was born and raised in Houston. My mother's from Honduras.
Okay.
My father passed away. May he rest in peace. But he was from Mexico.
Rest in peace.
So it's it's in the Latin community. Mm-hmm. Central Americans and Mexicans don't always get along. So I don't know what happened between my mom and my dad, but here I am. My Latin people, they know what I'm talking about. But
that's funny. Yeah. And the liqui-moly and the mini platform is popular in Puerto Rico. Mm-hmm. When I was working for the company, one of my coworkers, he was like, "Dude, you ever been to Puerto Rico?" I was like, "No." He was like, "Dude, BMWs and minis is where it's at." Yeah. For Puerto Ricans, they love to do that. They love to worship those two platforms for some odd reason. I don't know why.
I have to say, Puerto Rico, I think they take the number one spot for diehard enthusiasts. I mean, you got to think about it. Some of these parts in Puerto Rico are limited to resources, and they still produce. I think to this day they produce the world record highest horsepower or fastest K20 platform 2JZ or rotary.
The Honda platform by itself. Oh my gosh!
But I mean, anything that they really tinker with, they take it to the next level.
When I was watching,
with limited resources.
When I was watching the Fastest Car show series on Netflix, and the gentleman that lived in Miami but was originally from Puerto Rico, and I mean he had his Honda Civic out there, and he was just talking about it, how back home in Puerto Rico, how people race with that platform. I mean, because to simplify, you're talking about weight to, weight ratio. Power to weight ratio. And you got a front wheel drive and you're pushing, close to 1,000 or 800. And you can handle that car too, because it's so freaking light. You know what I mean? It's like basically it's like a go-kart. It's like a mini go-kart, and it's just nasty. There was a race up in New Jersey not too long ago. A guy wanted to race his Turbo S versus a Honda Civic, and I think the pot was like close to like $60,000. Wow. Yeah, and they basically. Well, they're saying that the Turbo S won, but then they're saying that the Honda Civic was spinning, or somebody jumped the line, so they never came to a 100% agreement. Which, it's kind of interesting. When it comes to races like that, where there's that much level of respect and saying that, okay, dude, I can't be honest with you, or I am trying to be as honest with you. I didn't see it this way. Both parties are trying to help each other out. They're like, you know what?
That's rare, because usually when the pot that big, nobody wants to give in.
Well, I mean, the amount of time.
The chase is a race,
Basically, I mean, like, hey, if you messed up, that's on you. But then I'm just like, just to go to the track. What are you trying to do down on the streets,
Bragging rights, street king,
or they don't trust the track enough, or the track doesn't have an insurance, with straightaways, you might get away with it or whatever. It's just.
I think it's not long enough. That's what the problem is. I don't think it's long enough. Quarter mile won't give a front-wheel drive the opportunity to catch up on the long run.
Yeah.
It may be an advantage for the all-wheel drive.
Right.
So, it's a lot of factors, but I think it's more bragging rights than anything.
Well, in that case, that Texas 2K is not going to be in Houston anymore.
Yeah.
This upcoming one is going to be their last one, and then it seems like it's in the works that it's going to be coming up here next year.
Ennis, I heard.
Should be really interesting. It's going to make my life a lot more easier, for damn sure.
Well, I don't know if you guys ever been to Texas 2K, but that almost became like a Texas holiday. People literally go out there for
it's like a religion. It's like a religious day,
religious experience, and You get to see the fastest cars running.
Dude, that Huracan, oh my God. I mean, it was an underground racing Huracan. Of course. Son of a bitch went 233 miles an hour, like at 8 seconds. It's just like something nasty.
Oh, yeah.
And it was cooking. Like your head is in one motion the whole entire time. It's not like, okay. It's like, oh shit. Like,
you blinked and you missed it.
Oh my God. And how loud it is, and every single shift you are
It's violent.
Oh my gosh. I'm like, but then again, they're like, dude, after 4 runs, we have to rebuild the motor, we have to rebuild the transmission. You're like, so your car's only good like for 30 seconds or 2 minutes? Give me a fucking break. Like, what kind of design flaw is that?
I didn't know that was the procedure.
I'm not saying that underground racing is that. Yeah. I'm saying from majority of the folks that I hear, when they get into that platform, that's what they're dealing with.
As they're pushing the car to the limit?
Yeah, you know what I mean? And what's crazy is that majority of the cars that you see, it's like Lambos, Huracans, Supras, hardly any BMWs out there. I mean, Turbo S's are starting to become something now. The Porsche lineup, obviously the Dodge Vipers by itself. I mean, Dodge. Yeah, I give the credit to Dodge. Dodge is doing something right with that V10 platform and just not giving
Calvo Motorsports.
Oh, holy shit!
Takes it to a whole different level.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
UGR, you got Shippy Race,
right? Shippy Race, yeah.
T1 Racing for GTRs.
GTRs, Jotech Motorsports. You know, I mean, the list just goes on.
The A90 Supra is becoming a very popular. And that's basically a BMW. So.
Yeah, but it's like, because
they're going into 8 seconds now.
Well, because it's so damn light, you know. No. But not only that, I think we talk about BMWs. The only BMW that I saw there was an F80 M3. That's it. And I think the reason why that car is not as good as it is, you can have 1,000 horsepower for it, but it's too heavy for it. It's too heavy
I think it just doesn't put the power to the ground very well.
Yeah, or even the M4s. Same thing with that, and MA competitions might be a little more reasonable, maybe down the road if they can figure out on the weight ratio.
I think if they can do the same thing that they did with the BMW F90.
The F90 M5, that by itself, but, it's got a dry clutch, it's like, is the clutch really that well versus the AMG that has a multi-clutch transmission that you can actually tune, A buddy of mine had a 2018 or 19 E63 S4matic with carbon ceramic brakes. He took that down to Eurocharge, put pure turbos, downpipes in a tune, and he was like 800.
Down in Houston?
Yeah, down in Austin. Eurocharge, 800, 787, 800 horsepower, and like, I don't know, 680 or 780 to the wheels. Like just something stupid for a car that weighs about 4,300, 4,600 pounds.
Yeah.
And I think his top speed on that car, now when I say top speed, he still had room. He was at 187 miles an hour in 8th gear.
Wow.
He still had a gear left.
Yeah.
So if you're going like 200 miles an hour and you're in the 9th gear, you got 1,200 RPM.
Yeah.
That's
crazy.
Sick.
That's crazy. No, I have a lot of friends that mess with the AMG cars, and they do a lot of DME tuning Texas. They do a lot of Wistek supercharger stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And you can see how impressive those numbers can be. I mean, on the C63 Black Series, which is one of my favorite V8.
It's a fucking nasty car. My buddy had it when he bought it brand new. 08 Black Series CLK. And that thing is drop dead gorgeous,
Oh, you're talking about CLK? Yeah, that's a gorgeous car.
I was talking about the newer ones.
Yeah, I mean about C63.
Right, I get it, but like my buddy, he had the CLK 63 Black Series, and that son of a bitch. The design of that car was beautiful with the wide body kit and the rear diffuser.
Those polished wheels that they came with.
Yeah, I mean. Hardly any Alcantara in the car that was full leather, which I can appreciate because you're getting your money's worth versus buying a Huracan or buying an Aventador that, the interiors are $40,000 package because it's all Alcantara,
You guys want to know another funny story? I met a guy in Austin, Texas at a Eurofest show.
Okay.
And I always noticed that most Lamborghinis don't have a cup holder, right? And he told me that the option for this cup holder was $2,000.
fucking ridiculous. And where is it? Is it underneath the middle
console? No, it's there. I mean, it looks cool, but $2,000. I mean,
I'm not gonna lie. BMW kind of fucked it up too for the E60 platforms and the E63 platforms, especially in like from 2006 to 2010 when they made them. I'm like, this guy just paid like over $100,000 for this car, and the cup holder is in the dash.
Yeah.
And it's made out of plastic, and you have to hit a button for it to pop out.
Yeah.
Versus, just want to put it right here. Like, I don't want to go anywhere else.
Well,
and then it breaks. You go to find it news. It's like $60. You're like, what?
Well, the thing is, like, if you have that, and at one point I had an E92 335i, and I know the push-up thing, and the thing is, it pisses you off because you have to get a small cup.
Yeah.
You can't go into 7-Eleven and get the big one. And you're like paying 69 cents, and you could have paid 99 cents and got like almost double the drink, but you can't because you decided to have a BMW.
Getting a 40 ounce.
Exactly. So you have to limit yourself.
You know what happened was that the Europeans were like, these Americans are not that fat. We're going to go get a cup holder that doesn't fit.
We are fat.
We are fat. We enjoy our 40 ounce, Slurpees from 7-Eleven.
Honestly, if they had 100 ounce, I think it would sell. Honestly.
I think it would. I think it would. Buc-ee's, yeah. Oh, and that's another thing when folks come down here, they don't know shit about Buc-ee's. Like, you're talking about, have you ever been Buc-ee's? What the fuck is Buc-ee's?
I'll be honest with you. I recently went into a Buc-ee's.
Nice.
Because I used to always get pumped at the gas, whatever's nearby, if I need to get my copy of my receipt or whatever. But I never, toured the place.
Okay.
You talk about, they don't sell anything cheap. I mean, they got $60 shirts,
right?
$50 sandals,
hats.
Yeah,
you name it, decals, all that stuff, and but
their own brand.
But the thing is that you look at what they pay.
Oh,
look at what they pay. They pay their employers. You know what I mean? It's like working for what should we call it? What's that one company that is coming to my mind? Oh man, I can't. Chick-fil-A, we're in the same ballpark, but gosh, where's that one company? Like they literally pay their employees. They don't like minimum wage, and they're like, no, we're gonna pay you if you're gonna work here. It could be Chick-fil-A. Like I don't know why it doesn't come into my mind, but Buc-ee's.
I think what it boils down to, honestly, is service. Right. If you have a clean facility and you provide service
and product availability,
price is out the door.
And product availability. I mean, you don't have to stand in line that much. You want to get your food, they can make it right there. Any Slurpee that you want. They have any type of candy that you want.
Got brisket.
If they got alcohol, like whatever you need, we've got it. And it doesn't matter what time of day it is because they're 24/7.
They've done a great job because I travel a lot. Right. So I'm on the road a lot. And so I've literally will only stop at a Buc-ee's because I know I have the cleanest restroom, if you know what I mean. So it's like, I don't want to stop by 7-Eleven, clapped out restroom, it's like, no, I want peace of mind, And they got those little doors where you can just close. You don't got to worry about nobody looking at you and stuff, get that awkward, No. So shout out to Buc-ee's. I'm glad you guys are in Texas. Yeah. The only problem is when I go to New Mexico or Oklahoma. That song is playing because there's no Buc-ee's out there. So it's like,
no, for sure.
It's all about service, man. And when you provide a service, I think people forget about the price because the minute they try to cheap out and they don't get the same service,
I see.
They remember right away.
Basically, yeah.
They're like, oh crap, man. That's why I go over there.
Some good stuff, man. Well, I mean. We're talking about the things that we appreciate in life, such as Buc-ee's, such as, our cars and so on and so forth, and the community that we're around. But not only that, we have our own gratitude towards our own passion that we have. You talk about, the variety of cars that you have. You talk about your president. You talk about your Honda Civic, your Toyota that you just had, But more importantly, it's like, the cars is not what really matters. I think it's what's the environment, the community is what matters. People know me because of my M5. But without my M5, they would have no fucking clue who I am. Does that make sense? So it's very great. It's awesome to have that gratitude. And you're like, okay, you know me because of this car. But when you come up and say that, okay, well, I don't have this car like for 6 months because in the shop, it's not like they avoid you. They're like, no, like what's going on? What's going on outside of that? You know what I mean? You get a sense of appreciation, and you get to grow. based off of that. I think coming back into the car community for me back in 2019, and I've been back in it ever since, and I'm passionately back in it ever since. It's especially with COVID, the networking, getting to know people, understanding their story, understanding their car. In the beginning, for me, I really didn't give a shit. I'm like, I care about my M5. Fuck you. Like, nothing. But then I was like, okay, it's not about that. You really have to understand why this person, for instance, bought that Mustang. Why did this person buy this Porsche? And you listen, and you're just like, okay, it makes sense now. I understand why. I still have arguments with a couple of my buddies that own AMGs. They're like, why didn't you get the AMG? You went and bought an M5. BMW is bad. I'm like, dude, I'm BMW by fate, Mercedes by heart, at the end of the day. So it's more importantly, I think it's its own chapter, you know?
I think sometimes, everybody knows the most popular platforms. If you talk about Japanese cars, NSX, RS7, Supra, BMW, M cars, AMG cars, S cars, RS cars.
Basically.
Domestics, Corvette, Mustang. But sometimes people get into the non-popular platforms because of a story behind it.
Basically.
Hey, my brother grew up with the Eclipse GSX, and I wanted to always build the highest horsepower GSX in memory of him or whatever. So I think, we all, I learned to appreciate all platforms. Going to these car shows, people coming up to me asking me what kind of oil they need for their car. And then I go in there and they don't even have the original motor. They got something totally different. And then I'm like, how did you do that? Oh, well, I'll do this, and that. And I know this guy, and it just becomes a domino effect. He introduces me to someone. That person introduces me to another person. And all before you know it, I know 4 different type of cars, 4 different type of areas.
Basically.
And it makes the introduction to a new shop or another person that I, meet easier.
Basically.
So, it's just, there's a lot of different builds. I think, people are spending their hard-earned money on their car. They spend a lot of time. I've been in some build headaches, where I had a project car that I really didn't want to get into, and I got into it, and I was really deep into it, and I didn't make any money off it trying to flip it, but I mean, I just had to continue, and it's a lesson learned, but
for sure.
It just depends on, what you like, and if you're working on it yourself, if it makes you happy. Funny thing is, on Cars and Dyno, I know you were trying to get there, but I drove a K car, a Mazda, and JDM guys, forgive me, I don't know what the model is, but it's a Mazda with gull wings, but it's a tiny car. It's weighs 1,600 pounds. It's a K car, very small car. If you would have asked me if I would even pay attention to a car like that 4 years ago, I'd tell you no. But seeing it in person, getting in it, driving it, mid-engine turbo car, small, gold wing.
Basically.
I'm 5'4", and I'm in there. But it's an experience. So then I can see why somebody would like this.
Yeah,
the flutter noises, everything.
When you go to the racetracks, you go to Coda, or you go to what's that place called? MSR, or you go to Eagle Canyon. You see the guy driving the shit out of his Porsche, and it's a G23 RS, and I sit in this car and I'm like, dude, I'm not comfortable in this car. These seats are shitty, but you go on and on the track, you're like, okay, I see why the seats are designed like this.
Or the aero kits.
Or you get in a GTR, same thing. Their seats are just not as comfortable.
GTR is a big car. Though.
It's a big car, but like I said, everybody has their own opinion, right? Okay, their seats are just not comfortable for me. Even though I've talked about it, I would like to have a GTR or something like that. But you look at the bigger picture, you're just like, there is going to be a flaw. Does that make sense? Same issue with my M5. I think my flaw with my M5 is the LSD. Why didn't you make a stronger LSD? Why couldn't you make a DCT? Why did you have to make an SMG?
SMG, Jesus, don't get me started on that.
I don't know, dude, the process that I went through to get an SMG transmission for my car under warranty. Oh man, my car was down for 5 months, dude. So it's
glad it wasn't during COVID, because it would have been longer.
This was before COVID.
Yeah,
thankfully. This was
right now. People are waiting on PCMs for like 8 months out.
You found out what happened with AMG, right? AMG came
no
back.
More V8s.
No more VAs for 2022.
I don't know. I think they may start like a crate engine program. I don't know. I just can't see them going away without. I mean, what are you going to do with the replacement of the current cars? You know, I know that in the U.S., dealers are only forced to keep parts inventory for cars that are 10 years old. After that, they can go away with it completely. But I mean, just last year they had a V8 engine. So I don't know how they're going to work that out. They still have to have a coverage, at least here in the States, for those cars.
Yeah, I mean,
or it could be a publicity stunt. I don't know. You don't know nowadays. Everything, anything can be
social media. So, going back to what got you into cars, what would you change?
Honestly, the way it played out for me, right? I think the only thing I would change is maybe not thinking I'm Toretto and driving recklessly, you know, because in the moment there's no fear. You're having a blast and you're young and dumb. But I came close to some pretty bad stuff as far as like.
Are you a risky driver?
No, it was just racing on the road, 140 miles an hour, and you know, maybe an innocent bystander coming into the highway,
not even paying attention.
Yeah, exactly. And it's 2 a.m, but hey, it's not a racetrack, you know.
Yeah.
So that's the only thing that I'm glad nothing happened to me, but I just wish I would have gotten in trouble, got a lot of tickets and all that crap, you know. Lost a lot of money there, you know. So, I don't know. The other thing, and I'll be really honest about this, is starting into the car scene, I was hanging around some people that were not in it for the car culture, if that makes sense. It was more like, you know, doing what they do now, as far as like the takeovers and stuff like that. It wasn't as crazy as it is now.
Finally, I think some of the folks in the car community got a break from the major arrests that they made not too long ago with all those, you know, stupid idiots that doing the takeovers. Yeah,
so that was some of the stuff they were doing, and I'm not really a big fan of that. I was more about, you know, let's just run what we have. You know?
Yeah, exactly.
I wasn't the fastest.
Well, I mean, what do you get out of takeovers? Basically, you're really good at doing donuts. Like, congratulations, you got your 15 seconds of fame.
Yeah. I saw that video you posted, or the picture you posted.
That was different. That was different. But yeah, I will admit, it was a very good impressional moment for someone else, you know. But we were doing a pilot show series for a show that possibly might air, but we'll see. And some of the cats, they were saying, hey, you know, can you guys do anything crazy? And you know, that lot was owned by a dealership that was part of it. So whatever we wanted to do.
Oh yeah, I mean, it's private property.
But at the same time, it's in a closed environment, professional road course, basically. We're not doing anything stupid. And so a guy shows up, basically. So a guy shows up with his Huracan, does a couple rounds, and then a guy shows up with his ACR, does a couple rounds. I'm just like sitting there, I'm just like, man, nobody knows anything about my car. I was like, when was the last time? Last time you saw my car do something crazy was at the BMW Invasion, where Austin drove the shit out of my car and he drifted. And it was his first time drifting it. Like, he had never drifted a car like that before.
That guy can drive.
He can drive, yeah, for sure. But I was like, you know what? I got to leave a good impression on during this one, and we'll see how it goes. And you know how loud my car is, you know. And I'll show you the rest of the videos as far as what people's reaction was and everything.
Oh, okay.
So, but yeah, I left that good impression and called it a day. And I said, I'll take 2 cheeseburgers and a fries, you know?
And hop in my 4-door sedan. Cruise control. I love what you did with the interior.
It took me 2.5 years. That interior for me to find took me 2.5 years.
Where did you find it?
At a junkyard in Mesquite, Texas, out of all places.
Wow.
Yeah. I was at a pub with a friend of mine, and I usually just go online and just check out and see if there's anything for me.
Everybody does that low key.
Yeah, exactly. And so I see this red M5, and the guy wants $8,000 for it. I was like, $8,000 for an M5? I might be interested.
Are you parting it up?
Well, it was wrecked.
Oh,
it was wrecked, and I was like, are there parts that I need? I scroll and I was like, holy shit, it's got the red interior. It's got the matchy red interior for my car. So, and I'm like, how long has this thing been in the market? It's been 30 days in the market and it's not gone. Bullshit. This thing would be gone overnight.
Yeah.
And so I get online, or I wake up the next morning and I'm like calling them. I'm like, hey, do you guys have this red M5? Yeah, we do. Do you still have the interior? Let me check with my boss. It's gone. There's just no way. There's just no way. Comes back and says, yeah, we still have it. How much do you want for it right now? And the guy comes back and says, I can give it to you. He tells me for a price. And I was like, dude, that's not going to happen. And his price was absurd because his price was like typical like the other ones. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, dude, I have to deal with this. You don't even have it out yet. I have to do all this manually if I want to get it out. Just give it to me for this price. I'll tell you how much I bought it for. And he's like, sure. It took me 3 days to get everything out.
Holy cow.
And I was with a really good friend of mine. I told him, yo, dude, we're going to be in the junkyard for 3 days in the middle of hot summer, taking all this shit off. And on day 3,
that's a friend.
Yeah, we couldn't take we were one bolt away from finally take the front seats off. That's how long it took us. We got everything else out, which was fine, but those two.
And everything worked plug and play? Or?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. The only issue that I have is one of the door panels that I've already have fixed, but it's got a slight issue with it because the shader has to be installed. Mm-hmm. So I have to perfectly glue it and so on and so forth so that I can finally put that door panel back on. It's a little bit of pain in the ass, but I really don't care. It's got red interior now, and it's a perfect combo in my opinion. Yeah, I just love red interior. So. Yeah.
And that's not like the bright red one. It's kind of like a
Indianapolis red. It's the original paint coat of BMW. So, but we got to do another episode, man.
Yeah.
I feel like we only just got halfway into it.
Yeah, we got halfway into it.
And that's the thing with my podcast. I think that's why I enjoy just doing these 1 hour sessions because it makes you come back, in my personal opinion. So, but do you have any questions so far?
No, I don't know if any of the people on the live have any questions.
Well, I mean, a lot of folks were jumping in and out, but, I'm pretty sure they'll ask later on. But other than that, thanks a lot for coming on the show.
Absolutely.
We'll definitely have you again. So make sure you guys follow this guy. Tell him your whole entire Instagram, full 9 yards.
So it's Jose Mendoza, liqui-moly. That's it.
Okay. Yeah. And we'll share some liqui-moly stuff as far as on the YouTube page. Put them in the comments section or the bio section so that if they want any internal access, they can hurry up and ask you. And so make sure you guys follow this, guys. Other than that, we're signing off. Thanks all for having us. Stay safe.